They're like, come on, do the locomotion with me. You gotta swing your hips. Don't you know how to? um, Jiminy.
All right. If anybody can hear us now, let us know.
Oh, are we back in? All right, you guys, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Somebody let us know. Say something. We're trying to figure out this sound, and no clue what's going on with that. We're not sure what's going on with the audio right now. All we know is that it's not sounding very quality. We're working on it. Please let. Oh,
Hey,
much better. Woo!
Hey, haha.
Thank you guys. All right. We weren't sure if we are going to have a whole episode today. I already owe you guys one episode from last week. I was indisposed. I got you guys, though. So, welcome to Made in America with Marcus Williams. All right. So, Marcus, Made in America. I love you guys. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We've had so much go on in our nation and in the world over the last 2 weeks that I haven't been able to cover. Right now, I'm running for city council in Rochester, New York, if you guys are familiar at all. And the race is heating up. We've got, we got 5 slots available and 11 people running. And 2 of them are write-ins. So I'm out here working hard and diligent every day to knock on as many doors and to reach as many people as possible. And let me tell you, being a conservative in a predominantly majority, what would you say, the county, right, is starting to be very Democratic even.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but the whole city is pretty much Democrats. Okay. And I'm out here working hard to make sure that I can be able to deliver people values and some actual real voice on our city council. We have 9 members on city council. 4 of them are quadrant members. And so they're broken up into 4 different sections in our city. And then 5 of them are at-large members. At-large represents the whole city. So that's one of the seats that I'm running for, at large, so I can represent the whole city. And if you're living in Rochester right now, get out and vote. If you vote early or vote on November 2nd, Marcus C. Williams for Rochester City Council. Interesting thing about New York State is right now on the ballot, on the back, they've got some very interesting propositions. And those propositions are like making a deal with the devil. You don't want to accept propositions from the devil. These propositions are extremely and egregiously harmful, mostly to election integrity. They've got one on there says, do you want gerrymandering? Yes or no? I don't even know if that's a yes or a no answer, but if anybody is answering it, it should be no. You know, they've got same-day voter registration. So you can vote and register on the same day at the same place at the same time. Now, in New York State, I'm not sure if you're familiar with New York State at all, but New York State has no signature verification requirements. They take signatures, but there's no requirement to check it. And then they also have absolutely no ID check. None whatsoever. So if the proposition gets passed, which will allow people to register the same day, then anybody that wants to work in any type of a coordinated effort could really, really, really usurp the system and just go around to 30 different polling sites. And let's say the city has 10 major polling sites in the city. So somebody can go to each polling site, sign up, register, and then vote 10 times. Nobody would ever know. You put different names and information each time. Nobody ever know. And there's no way to police that in New York State. There's just not enough people. You know, the Board of Election doesn't have people to overlook that. It's no way. It opens up a serious voter integrity issue. Now, people in the state and in the nation, many places are like, oh, well, there are no issues with the elections. The elections are perfect. Have you heard that, Austin? Perfect elections that we have?
Yes, obviously.
Mm-hmm. So we have perfect elections, allegedly, but they've been complaining about election integrity for, as long as I've been alive, and probably before that too. you know? So, with that being said, election integrity is very important. I live in Monroe County in New York State. In Monroe County last year, they sent back 100,000 mail-in ballots. I think it was 120 or something like that, but we're going to say 100,000. There are 750,000 people in Monroe County, period, including children, the completely disabled and lame, and, well, everybody else that wouldn't be able to vote. So you figure a few 100,000 vote, but you sent back 100,000 mail-in ballots. Now, I don't know if you heard me the first time, but our county is extremely, well, our board of elections, I should say, is extremely staffed with Democrats. Not that that's an issue, but it goes to show you that if they're sending back 100,000 mail-in ballots and they're staffed all by Democrats predominantly, okay, and like 3 Republicans, that's not a joke. There's like 3 Republicans in like an office of 50 Democrats. It's crazy. Um, so it's just very interesting that we've got that on there, and people want to say that everything's okay, and it's not, you guys. And these things would make our elections even more safe. So I'm trying more unsafe. So I'm trying to get you guys to go out if you live in New York State, flip the ballot over, check out the propositions, and check no on every single one of them. Okay, but do that after you vote Marcus C. Williams for Rochester City Council. Feel like that's fair. Uh, but yeah, no, it's just crazy. We've got other ones on the ballot. They've got one for oh my goodness, automatic universal mail-in balloting. So even if you don't want a ballot, then you're going to get one anyway. Even if you're going to come out and you're going to actually vote in person, you're going to get one anyway. Now, I don't know if you guys saw the other day. Austin, did you see the dude in Texas?
There was a dude in Texas?
There's a lot. I think there's a lot of dudes in Texas. I don't know
It's
what
entirely
Texas's
possible.
population is right now, but
I haven't gone to Texas recently.
if I go to Texas, I might not come back, you guys. I don't want to. I don't want to go to Texas. I might stay there. You know, I'm very concerned about our freedoms and liberties in America, and New York is not doing enough to stand up for them. That's why I'm running for office right now, because I'm tired of our rights and liberties being trampled upon. Okay. People are like, oh, well, you're running for city council. Da, 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 da. Yes, I'm running for city council because small local government is where you can make the greatest impact. Remember that. So when it's a non-presidential year and you're like, oh, well, I don't have to vote. It's not a presidential year. You do have to vote. Get out and vote. That's the trick. They think that you won't come vote because, well, not a presidential year. So encourage your friends and family. Go vote Marcus C. Williams for Rochester City Council. And if you live in another city, in another place, please go out and vote. Vote for a candidate that you believe best represents your values and will do the best to defend our Constitution and stand up for our rights and freedoms. Because right now they're getting stripped away on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to jump into some news real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about what I've got going on in my campaign. Well, I don't know if you guys saw earlier in the month. I think it was around the beginning of October, maybe like the 4th or the 5th, something in there. Sweden stopped the Moderna cocktails for, well, they said under 30 people, under the age of 30, people under the age of 30, because it was causing serious inflammation. What were they saying? Myocarditis for people underneath 30. So that's concerning, right? How many of you guys know people who are under 30? It's not a small part of the population. So, I mean, that being said, today we saw well, let's go back a little bit. A couple weeks ago, the FDA voted, well, they had a panel. The panel came together and they were like, well, you know, should we give booster shots or not give booster shots? Guess what they said? They said no booster shots. You know what the director of the FDA said? F you, I'm going to do what I want. Booster shots for everybody. I think that's a load of malarkey after the panel just told you that you don't need booster shots yet. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to jump into that too hard. But after that, I think it was today. Okay, there was another FDA panel today for what was it? Was it 5 to 11 or is it 5 to 12 for the age groups of 5 to 11, 5 to 12, something like that.
I think to 12.
5 to 12, yeah. 5 to 12 to get these cocktails. Now, for me, that's a big questioning factor, right? I mean, well, they're children, right? They're not what you would consider mature, which is why they don't have the ability to smoke or drink because we know that inhibits the growth and development of cells. Well, these cocktails are mRNA based, okay? And it raises a lot of questions, right? Because it's a newer process. It just came out a couple years ago, hasn't really been implemented on anything that could look like a scale or even really tested. So the tests that they have had have been extremely limited. Now, not for nothing, me myself, thank you, Nigel. Not for nothing, me myself, I'm I'm very big on genetics. That's a big thing for me because I plan to live to be at least 125 years old and I want to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So gene editing, um, whatever you want to call it, DNA sequencing and changing DNA and stuff like that. I'm all about that. CRISPR, I love it. If you're familiar with CRISPR, which is a gene editing technique, gene therapy, I love all that stuff. So that's where I come from, and that's the angle I look at this at. So when they tell me that they want to give these things to small maturing children, and now they're looking at doing it for 3 and under, or was it 3 to 5, excuse me. Also, I don't know, you guys. Like, did anybody think that maybe their cells are maturing? And since the job of mRNA is to edit the cells and change the sequencing inside the cells so that the DNA is programmed in a different manner, that might be detrimental to children who are still in the growth phases of their cells maturing and changing? I mean, just listen at how it sounds, right? Like, does that sound like something that we should just be jumping into so willy-nilly, especially after the last 2 years they've been telling us all the time, "Oh, well, it doesn't really affect children. It doesn't really impact children. It doesn't really have an issue with children, and schools are the safest place to be." Austin, you remember that? The whole time this thing has been going on, schools are the safest place for children to be because they have the lowest transmission rate. So you remember that?
Sure.
So Cuomo said it, and it's been said many times. If you guys don't know who King Cuomo is, he is the former governor of the state. We currently have the governess who thinks that she is a priestess and is the leader of, well, I guess all of the Abrahamic religions, who said that the Lord wants you to take the cocktail. Was it the Lord or was it Jesus? Who did she say, Austin?
I believe she said God.
Mm-hmm. The Lord himself, and that to me is extremely concerning. Something separation of church and state. I've read the Constitution many times. Separation of church and state isn't actually in there. But if we're to go but with the people that believe in separation of church and state, because if you read the what's that? Is that the Fifth Amendment? Which amendment is that they try to cite as that?
Isn't that the part of the First Amendment, freedom of religion?
Freedom of religion, but that's not separation. It's
I thought the First Amendment made a claim that the state will make no something towards religion or something.
Right, but that's not the one that they quote as freedom of religion.
The fifth is right to remain silent, so I don't think that's it.
No, not see. Nah. Maybe it is something else. It doesn't matter. Okay. So it's the separation of church and state. Yeah. So with the separation of church and state, many people believe in that. Well, I don't really think that that's actually in there. I'm going to read it to you. Let me see right here, right now. Let's see. Separation of church and state. Oh, look at my phone wants to talk to us. Let's not do that. No.
The
Don't.
First Amendment of the Constitution states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking of something with Rhode Island, maybe. Yeah. But separation of church and state. It's a good thing, right? Austin, do you like church and state separate?
I do. I am a firm church and state separate kind of guy.
So let me ask you a question. When, at what point in our nation's long, illustrious history did we become a theocracy? I don't know. I didn't know we were a theocracy. I didn't know we were all of one religion. Austin,
Yeah.
are you and all of your friends of the same religion?
No, actually.
Are the heads of your religions all the same individuals?
I would think not.
Mm-hmm. So I really wonder, and I question, I make some questions there. But we're not gonna do that, and I'm gonna exercise my Fifth Amendment and use my right not to incriminate myself.
There you go.
Oh, you guys. Oh, I've had a long day. I'm so tired. I've been running ragged doing this campaign and just watching our nation fall to bits between the difference of I guess you would say transportation necessities and what is actually able to be provided. They've said that we're short like 18,000, not 1,800, 18,000 truckers. So where do we get truckers from, right? We have to make truckers. So why aren't there truck classes in schools in my city? I don't know. Austin, do you have trucking classes in the schools where you live?
Sorry?
Right? Right, right. That's how crazy it sounds. The establishment clause. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so there are no real trucking places. Like some trucking places that there are no real trucking classes in schools, in school systems. Like, certain places have things like carpentry, electrical, or any other type of trade. We don't have those in Rochester City schools like that anymore. But we're not going to talk about that because that's the next part. But yeah, so I don't know what we're going to do about all these truckers, guys. I even saw AOC get on the internet today and she was like, "Oh, you guys, I'm usually one of those last minute shoppers. Make sure you go shop early this year because, well, the people are standing up because they don't want to do the jobs that don't really pay them very much." Because I don't know when, but trucking is a very good paying job. So I don't know what she's talking about. She's lost her rabbit. Well, I don't know how long she's been missing it, so I'm not able to say that she just lost it. But her philosophies are way, 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 way not based in reality. We've got so many shipping issues right now. It's a serious problem. You saw the issue with them cutting off the pipeline, right? So they cut off the pipeline, which I'm not a big backer of pipelines. I'm an environmental conservationist. So the environment's very important to me. Fresh air, clean water, stuff like that. Make sure you flip your proposition paper over after you vote this year. If you live in New York State, and vote no on all of the propositions, including that water or air rights thing that they're talking about, because it's not what it appears to be. I wish I had my little booklet that tells you the complete readout of all of the propositions in front of me right now. But yeah, so if we don't have any truckers, how are we going to get the oil? How are we going to get the gas? How are we going to get the propane? Like, the propane isn't going to rain out of the sky. If it was, I don't know what planet we'd be on. I hear on some planets it rains diamonds, Austin. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. Could you imagine that? Oh, man, you wouldn't have much of a house left now, would you?
No, I guess not.
Yeah, man. I just, oh, man, dude, what is going on with our country right now, people? Can I be serious with you right now? So we got a new president. Many people were happy with our new president. But since he's been in office, the economy's gone topsy turvy. Unemployment has gone crazy ridiculous. Transferring of positions from people from one position to a different position has gone outrageous. They're called people are retreating from multi-million dollar paying jobs. People are retreating from jobs that pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And we're just having serious staffing issues all over our country. It's insane. It's insane. They're calling it the Great Resignation. But before that, we had a serious issue with ghosting. So now we've got the ghosting issue, which is people that apply for jobs and don't come into the interview, or come to the interview and don't start on their first day. And we've got mass resignations. If we don't have the people to work in our economy, what's going to happen with our economy? Well, it's going to fall, right? And we see that happening right now. We've got Janet Yellen. We got Janet Yelling. Yep, Jesus. Janet Yellen, who is a Treasury Secretary, who used to be the head of what do you call it? The Federal Reserve, right? Used to be the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Now it's Powell. I'm not a big fan of him either. He's made quite a few missteps. I don't like him that much. But if he wants to give me some money, or if she wants to give me some money, I'm not going to tell them no, because they're the ones that make and control all the money. Now, I need you to understand that between the Fed and the Treasury, they make and control all the money. Now, they put the person that was in charge of the Fed in charge of the Treasury. Okay. So if that's not mob tactics for you, I don't know what is. And they won't even admit that we have a problem with inflation. But if you go outside and you try to buy milk, bread, eggs, or anything like that, inflation's out of control. You saw Jack Dorsey, who's definitely not my favorite person in the world, get on the TV the other day and said, we are headed for hyperinflation. You guys, if you don't believe that we're headed for hyperinflation, you have not been paying attention. I've been talking about this for years, and it has accelerated over the last year. Well, not even last year. Well, we're talking 10 months. Extremely dramatically. So for me, it's really crazy right now to see exactly what I've called ahead of time happening. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Stock up. Stock up. And as my friend Chad says, buy more ammo. like everything that he says is, he always likes to end it with buy more ammo, because he's not wrong. You guys, at the rate we're going, I was reading an article the other day. They did a study, a poll rather, and the poll said that almost 50% of Americans think that there's going to be that there should be what do you call it? That there should be a separation of states. Okay, like legitimately, the states should separate. Like, we fought a war to keep our nation together. We're called the United States of America. And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. Austin, can you see if you can pull those numbers on that poll up while I'm talking? He's going to try to pull those numbers up. But it's something like 46% of all Democrats believe that we should split, and something like 53 of all Republicans that were listed in that. And that is really, really crazy. That's so many people in our nation that believe that we should separate our country when we're called the United States of America. Hell, maybe we should separate it and call it still the United States of America and America Socialist Communism Trash Can Garbage Pile Fire. That's too long, huh, Austin? That's too long a name.
Yeah, maybe
steeping, heaping.
Tighten it up.
Okay, I got it. Steaming pile of crap, the nation.
Wow.
Because that's the direction we're going, you guys. People got mad the other day. Well, I mean, not the other day, a year or so ago, maybe 2 years now, at Trump for saying that other countries are shitholes, right? But my whole life, I've heard that America's going down the toilet. America's in the shitter. America's in the crapper. Well, I mean, if we're in the crapper, right, we should know where the toilets are, right? So we should know where we're falling down. But right now, we're becoming a shithole. Excuse my language, but it's a fact. Like I'm not cursing. I'm like saying literally because I do that sometimes. I'm saying literally a shithole, a hole in the ground that you take poop in. Like it's insane right now. It's absolutely unequivocally insane. Okay. The rate of deterioration of our country has been exacerbated by leaps and bounds since we have gotten a new president, you know. And there's the whole let's go Brandon sentiment out there right now. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, there's this guy named Brandon. He's a race car driver in NASCAR. He was being interviewed after a win. And after the win that he had, the reporter thought that the people were chanting his his name in the stand. And she's like, "Listen, Brandon, everybody's cheering for you. They're saying, 'Let's go, Brandon.'" But when they were silent to listen to them cheer, that wasn't quite what they were saying. Austin, do you know what they were saying?
No.
No. And many of you guys might not know what they're saying, but they were saying FJB. FJB. Well, what's FJB mean, Austin?
Let's go, Brandon.
Exactly. So FJB means F Joe Biden. Okay. And that is what everybody in the stands were cheering. Now, this isn't the first time that this happened. Previous to that, it happened at all types of sporting events, college sporting events. In the MLB, it happened in a few different places. I think it happened in the NFL a couple times too, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So now the new sentiment is FJB. But the fact of the matter is, right? I don't want to say FJB, right? I want to say by administration. The whole administration needs to go. You know, I'm not a fan of the Defense Secretary Lloyd. He's lost his rabid mind trying to re-educate our troops and make them susceptible to manipulation and coercion by our government, which is not the way the military is supposed to be. But we're not going to talk about it because they're talking about if you have Christian values and believe in Christendom and stuff like that, that you shouldn't be in the military and you might be a threat. Jiminy Cracker Krispies, as a Christian, I am offended. Excuse me, as an individual who identifies as a Christianic religion, I feel offended. But the fact of the matter is this. Lloyd is a problem. Mayorkas and his whole nonsense on the border, talking about we're going to have 400,000 illegal immigrants come in this year. I mean, this month, this month. And that was his projection for the number of people who would be caught and apprehended, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to apprehend them and they're going to release them early in the morning at 2:00 in the morning and send them on a flight to a neighborhood near you. So if you're in a sanctuary city, look out. If you're in a heavy red district, look out. They might be coming to you. And it's not that I have a problem with that, right? My issue is the fact that they're not following our immigration laws that we have right now. People were mad at the former president for wanting to build a wall. And trust me, I did not want that wall. Okay. Why? Because it's huge, it's expensive, it's cumbersome, and would take a long time to build. I felt that we should definitely build a wall, but we were putting it in the wrong place. I felt that the wall should be at the end of Mexico. And then we really could get Mexico to pay for the daggone wall. Because the real immigration issue was coming from, at the time, the triangle countries down there, Guatemala, Honduras, so forth. Dudes and dudettes, Americans, what are we going to do? With Mayorkas at the border, Lloyd in the military, and then we've got oh my goodness, Anthony Blinken, right? What's he in charge of? Oh my goodness. Anthony Blinken. Is it Secretary of Defense? What's he do? No. That's Lloyd.
Right. It's not hold on.
We're going to find out for you and we're going to let you know. Anthony Blinken. Anyway, this guy, man,
Secretary of State.
Secretary of
That's
State.
right.
So you know him and defense are supposed to work well together or whatever. But dude, this dude has made us look so weak. So weak as a nation. You know, speaking of weakness, Austin, I got banned, you guys, from Facebook for 24 hours because I said, you know, Americans have become pretty weak because they've had so many good times and such prosperity. And then I went into a couple of different quotes about why people are scared to even catch a cold anymore because they're terrified of the boogeyman and the bacterium and the viruses, and they're all around you. And if you had a microscope, you'd never leave your house.
I mean, yeah, probably.
America, how have we fallen so far? You know, I mean, I guess World War II really made us comfortable, right? After that, we had great progress. Everybody had a house. There were 2 chickens in every pot, right? 2 chickens in every pot. Look it up. Look it up. Anyway, but with that happening and all of that goodness, a lot of Americans have become way too comfortable. We've lost a lot of our strength, not just in physicality, but also in mental fortitude. Americans are easily swayed one way or another. The masses are just it seems to be completely disconnected with reality. And we, the people who see the issues in our country, must stand up. We've saw over the last couple of weeks, we've even seen Black Lives Matter starting to stand up for things that make sense, like ending mandates, because mandates affect predominantly Black people. So at a much higher rate than others. We've seen all of the fans in what's that? Where was that? Was that at the Nets stadium with Kyrie Irving? Was his Irving, right?
Yeah.
I don't watch basketball, you guys. It was at the Nets stadium, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. But the fans rushed the stadium and stuff like that because they were protesting in solidarity with him to end vaccine mandates. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy right now. Was it the Nets? What's it say here?
Yeah, the
Yep,
Nets.
the Nets. Yeah. So it's crazy that this is what it takes. It takes basketball players to start to stand up for people to stand up for liberties and freedoms. Like, it doesn't make sense, America. We should have been standing up. But I'm extremely thankful. I'm extremely thankful to all of our dutiful American citizens that are in sports right now that are standing up. The football players that are standing up. I know some of you guys that are in Rochester know the Bills and know that more than one Bills player is out there standing up against ending mandates. Shout out to the Bills. Okay. They're not my team, but I do live in Rochester. Okay. My team is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. And the Bengals. Okay. And my teams haven't been that good for years. And then they got good and then they got not good. And that's kind of the way that they work. I picked them when I was very little because I like their logos. The Bucks, right? I mean,
you know what? That's as good a reason as any. I like it.
Exactly, right? You know, I like Bengal Tigers. Okay. And then the Buccaneers, if you remember their old swashbuckler logo, that was really dope.
Hell yeah, man.
Yo, that was really dope. Okay. I wasn't into oil, or I would have picked the Houston Oilers. What are the Houston Oilers now? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
Yeah.
So I don't keep track of that nonsense. Expansions and contractions and transfers and stuff like that. But I'm glad and I'm proud as an American citizen to see so many of our sports professionals standing up. If you saw the people at GE the other day, thousands of them were walking out because they wanted to end mandates. They're standing up for their freedoms and they're not getting any coverage by the news media. Additionally to that, we've also seen Delta Airways the week before last, 2 weeks ago, Austin, or are we on 3 weeks now? 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
2 weeks ago, they were shutting down all types of flights and they were calling it, what did they call it? Oh, tower issues and weather. right? But that wasn't what it was. Pilots called a massive sick off, so which is where they call in sick and they don't come into work in mass so that they can work and do their part to fight for their freedoms and liberties afforded to them by our nation. And they chose to stand up. And what did the media do? Spit in their eye. They didn't even cover it. They said, oh, yeah, it's weather. Oh, yeah, it's tower issues. But all the other planes were flying. Spirit didn't have any issues. Okay. Delta didn't have any issues. Okay. None of them had any issues. Okay. And it's crazy, right? It's crazy to see that this is what has to happen in order for people to start seeing what's going on. You guys, I don't care if you're pro-vaccine or if you're pro-choice on the matter. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. But what matters to me is the continuous government overreach. Okay. The continuous government overreach and the division in our nation. The government has set it up where people are hating and ridiculing people who did not want to take these cocktails because, well, they don't know what's in them. And then they're like, oh, well, you should listen to the doctors and the scientists. But why, yo? Why? The scientists are telling me that the science keeps changing. So they're going to give me a whole bunch of stuff inside my arm, and then they're going to tell me, well, the science changed, and now what we gave you was completely wrong and ineffective, and well, now you might die. Because the science, it keeps changing. Science doesn't change that much, you guys. Science only changes that much when you have had continuous wrong hypotheses. Because when you get a wrong hypothesis, you end up with a wrong answer. Okay? It's crazy. It's crazy. But the more crazy thing is that Pfizer, one of the biggest pushers of this stuff, are like, we'll never tell you what's in it. Son, they'll never tell you what's in it, Austin. How you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Well, now I'm just curious.
Right? Aren't you? I'm curious too. They said they won't tell you what's in it. They say they won't tell you the processes of how it was made. That's concerning to me. But aside from being concerning, it really grinds my gears. And why does it do that? Because we, the people, our tax money is what paid for that. It paid and financed their complete research and development. The complete research and development. Let me say it one more time just for emphasis. Austin, do you want to say it with me? It funded the complete research and development.
Research and development?
Research and development, Austin.
Complete?
Complete.
Oh.
Okay. Now, guess what else we're doing? Now we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars to these same companies that we paid for the research to happen for the actual cocktails, but they're telling us they won't tell us what's in it. Now, if that's not reason to tell them they can have no more money, then I don't know what is. If you're going to spend our money to develop your stuff, then you're going to charge us 40x what the cost is to make it after you had the arrangement where you're supposed to make like no money off of it. I have some words to say, but they're more profane than they are nice. Okay. But we're going to step away from that because it's getting me some feels. And we're going to say, well, they're protesting all over the world. So maybe it's time for America to stand up because the vaccines that they are so-called vaccines are problematic, not because of really what they're doing, but what the government is doing with them. So they're trying to push for vaccine passports, which will be an end to privacy completely. And that's why people all over the world are standing up. But while you were asleep, okay, under your nose, the United States government has been pushing for a international, worldwide vaccine passport. Austin, did you know that?
No.
Yeah. It's a real thing. Look it up. Ted Cruz went off about it the other day, but they're like, this has nothing to do with the committee we're on. I felt it had something to do with the committee. I felt that he was in the right. He's not always right, but he's been right a hell of a lot over the last year and a half. It's crazy the direction we're going, and we need to stand up. But more than that on the local end. And to that note, I want to talk about my city, Rochester. And I know that the homicides and violence have gone on all across the city, all across the state, all across the country, and everywhere else, right? They try to blame it on COVID, but they mention nothing about the anti-police hate groups that have gone through terrorizing cities and burning stuff down, smashing out windows, destroying businesses, and really hurting the overall economy of our country. But, it's because everything's racist and poor people like to steal. At least that's what they're telling me. Austin, you've heard that, right? You've heard them tell you that poor people steal because they're poor.
Yeah, no, of course.
The sadness is real. In Rochester right now, we are up 117%. 117% for homicides, Austin. Can you believe
Wow.
it?
I mean, yeah, just because I hear about it all the time, like it's crazy.
It is crazy. But like Austin said, he hears about it all the time. I live in the city. Austin lives in the surrounding area.
Yep.
Yeah, Austin lives in the surrounding area. I live in the city. So he's hearing it out there. My friends in the surrounding areas don't even want to come into the city to come see me. I know it's dangerous there. I'm not able to tell them no. I'd like to, but it's dangerous. It's affecting our economy. It's affecting our housing market. And it's not just here, it's all over the nation, but somehow we seem to have gone up a bazillion percent compared to all of the other surrounding areas. Everybody else is at like 30%. Rochester's like 117%. Like, this is wrong. This is bad. And we need to work on this. But none of our elected leaders or officials here will stand up. But I'll stand up and I'll speak up. And you guys better believe that I damn well won't shut up. Okay. Because right now, it's our chance to actually do something for our nation. So, me as a dutiful American citizen, I've decided to stand up and I am running for my local government because local government is where you get stuff done. Okay. That's how you make sure that stuff gets done. And I want to improve our economy, work on small business development and entrepreneurship because I think that that's where we really need to focus. Because if you can focus on small business development, especially entrepreneurship from inside of your city, if you create a business in your community, you're more likely to hire from your community. And if you're in your community, you hire from your community, you're more likely to stay in your community, you know? And if the neighborhood's safe, you probably buy a house there. And if you got a job and you're building your business and you live in the city, you're adding to our tax base. Thank you. So that's why we need to focus on small local businesses because you're not going to pack up and end up going to California. Okay. You're most likely going to stay here. But right now, our city is focusing in the wrong direction. They continue to focus on, well, I mean, hey, they continue to focus on everybody else but the actual citizens of Rochester. And that's a problem. And if that's happening in your community, I implore you, do what you need to do. Hold your elected officials accountable. Send letters, send emails. Don't stop. Encourage your friends, encourage your family. Okay? Stand up. Our government, as the federal, local, and state, it's running rampant with government overreach. They're stripping us of our rights, of our freedoms. They're doing this whole, well, I guess you would call it well, I really think that it's a supply war on the American citizens. They're preventing us from getting the goods that we need. And this has been a continuous thing and an unravelment that they started last year. And to be honest, it looks extremely, extremely, extremely intentional. If you see the rising prices of heating this year, you can see very well that when you look at it, it looks interesting. So you look at what's going up the most. Propane, 55%. Okay. They're talking about natural gas, depending on where you are, 30 to 53%. And I had to sit back with myself and I said, hey, well, who really uses these forms of heating? And I said, well, it'll most harshly impact two different groups, red country and the urban poor and urban middle class because they tend to live in older housing and stuff like that, which generally has natural gas. And in the red country, they either are using natural gas or they might be using propane. Propane predominantly gets used for heating in red country. Okay. So these are the two groups that they're focusing on disenfranchising the most. So I do my best to encourage in my city unity and not division because I firmly believe that unity is the only way for us to move forward. It's called the United States of America because we are supposed to unite. It doesn't matter what our differences are. We're supposed to be able to come together on the things that we agree upon and work on the things that need to be worked on so that we can move forward as a nation as a whole. Um, there are people in my area, in my city that are running for city council right now that want the city to burn to the ground. And they openly declare war on the police and say F the police all the time. It's sad. It's disappointing. And it's kind of disheartening, honestly. But I will not lose faith. I will not break my stride. I will keep going and know that most of all, I have done more than just try. I have put in the work. I have prayed because when you pray, you still got to put in the work. And that's how you get stuff done. Okay. I really, really, really appreciate all of you guys tuning into my show on the We the People podcast network. And I want to, what we got going on up there? Austin, scroll up for me. Fantastic. I really appreciate you guys tuning in on the We the People podcast network. Please look out for the other shows that are on here. And listen, you guys, check out my website for my city council run. And if you like some of my ideas, drop a donation in there. Say, hey, I support what you got going on because I see the direction that you like. And I like that direction. And these ideas can work in other places aside from just the city. So Marcus, the number 4, Rochester.com. And if you live in the city, definitely check it out. You guys know I'm on Facebook and stuff too. So I want to remind you guys not to give up hope, okay, in yourself or faith in our people as a nation. We as Americans can overcome everything because you got to be an American. Don't be an Americant. Okay. And worse than anything, don't be an Amera. Can you say that? Don't be an Amera.
Bitch.
No. Love it, Austin.
Nailed it.
Love it. Love it. Nailed it. Nailed it. So I was gonna say Americunt, but
whoa. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of that.
Jesus, Austin. Now, how are you gonna drop the ball on that one? But no, you guys, seriously, I want to encourage you. It's time to stand up and it's time to speak up. So we must be encouraging all of our citizens to do the same. We must encourage them to uphold our freedoms, to uphold our liberties so that we can move forward as a nation together in unity. And I'm not saying that we're going to have harmony because, we're Americans. Harmony isn't really our thing, but unity is our thing. United States. Okay, you guys? And if you like my shows, if you like what I'm talking about and you want to sponsor, shoot me a message, shoot me an email. It's what's my email? What's a good email for me? I don't have a good email. Find me on Facebook, shoot me a message in Messenger. and I'm gonna come up with a good email. So when you see my next episode, you'll get a good email in there too. But if you'd like to advertise on the program, definitely let me know. Find me on Facebook, shoot me a message in Messenger. We'll put you up here, let you advertise, give you a really good rate so that you can support Marcus Made in America and I can support our country and our people better. I love our country. I love our people. I refuse to give up on our nation. Our nation has not fallen yet, so we must stand. If I have to be like Charles de Gaulle was in France, for France, I'm going to stand up I'm going to stand up until we're able to return our nation to something that looks, well, like America. It's time to restore our nation, restore America. And I'm running in Rochester to restore Rochester because everything's falling to pieces. It's our time to rebuild everything. Okay. The whole agenda now is they're calling it Build Back Better, which doesn't sound different to me at all than Make America Great Again. It sounds exactly like the same thing, except the Build Back Better seems to be destroying our country and only empowering the rich and the wealthy. And I'm not really with that because we need money too, right? We need the things that when we go to the store, we need them not to cost $1 billion. Dude, I went to go buy a loaf of bread at Rite Aid the other day, dude. Guess how much the bread was?
$7.
Jeez, almost, right?
Yeah, right.
So $3.50,
Oh,
bro, for a loaf of bread. I'm like Jiminy Jillikers.
It's terrible.
It's insane. And inflation is gonna keep going up. So as far as I go, me running in Rochester, you guys, I see what's coming. I see it, and I see that the impact is going to predominantly be on everybody in the middle class, and then also impact the poor class as well. We got to stand up, you guys. We can do it, but we have to do it together. Gather your friends, gather your acquaintances, gather like-minded individuals. Come together and start to stand up for our freedoms and our liberties. You say, well, Marcus, what can we do to stand up for our freedoms and our liberties? You can send letters. You can send emails. You can go rally in a peaceful way that is in a positive focus. This is the problem. You must rally in a peaceful way and with a positive focus. A lot of people are doing it with an angry focus, a lot of complaints and not enough solutions. We have to be providing the solutions. Okay. This is America. We're supposed to be problem solvers. Okay. And if you have any type of concern for your country at all, and you see our freedoms being stripped away and our liberties going to the wayside, it's your duty as an American citizen, as anybody who has ever taken the Pledge of Allegiance, to stand up for our nation and defend our freedoms, which our forefathers have set out for us and our people have died for. It's time to stand up now. It's time to stand up against government overreach. It's time to stand up against socialism. It's time to stand up for our nation. God bless America, you guys. Okay? And maybe you guys have forgotten that America is not a democracy. It is a representative republic, or as some people like to say, a constitutional republic. Okay? Because our founders knew that mob rule would end up in disaster. Okay. So this is why we are in this direction. And I think that a lot of you guys have forgotten the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to recite it right now. And if you would join me, it would be my pleasure. Hands on your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you guys, you be blessed and be well. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up.